at the end of the day, it looks like, you're talking about using the power of affirmations, confronting your fears. It doesn't seem like that these gimmicky thing. It's really addressing the core root of what everyone needs to achieve success in their life, but also to overcome any challenge.
And in this case, directly addressing it to alcohol, although you could also write in the word overeating or anything there. But there are certain fears that go along with not drinking. I won't be fun. People at work, like if you work in New York in the stock market, everyone goes out and drinks at night.
Yes.
A good friend of mine who runs a company called Grocery Ships here in town walked away from $8 million in bonuses from Wall Street. And everyone was going, come on, drink. And he knew he couldn't drink anymore. And everyone was like, giving him a hard time. What do you wish you? Wimp? Come on, be a man. And so that's part of the culture.
It is.
And so it's going to affect my career. I won't know what to do when I'm out with the guys, whatever. But we teach people you can still go there and you order a club soda with cranberry juice in it or whatever, and people get off your case because they think you're drinking something.
Sure.
But the point being that there's a lot of cultural pressure to do these things, and most people don't have the tools. And what we're saying is affirmations related to sobriety, affirmations related to getting rid of the addiction, as opposed to just affirmations in general.
Right.
And what people are saying, and you might know this too, Lewis, is that most people know these general principles now. And now they're saying, well, but apply them to me as a manager. Apply them to me being a good husband. Applying to me being a world-class skier. I want it more niched now.
Yes, of course.
And so this book is an attempt to do that.
Yeah, I love this. And, for me, I've never been drunk in my life. I don't know if I've told you that, but I've never experienced what it feels like to be drunk on alcohol. And then when I was in college, I played college football, and the same thing happened where every weekend after the games, all the guys went out and just got drunk and trashed at parties, and they were always pressuring me. They knew that I wasn't going to drink because I made a commitment for 4 years in college I wasn't going to have a sip of alcohol because I wanted to have every advantage to be the best I could be in football.
Yeah.
But they still tried to give me every night. They would just throw drinks at me, and I was like, no, I'm good. And it's I can only imagine the pressures that people have with drinking from their peers alone.
Yeah.
Even if they don't want to,
right?
They're just like, okay, well, I have one, and then it ends up being 3 or 4 because they want to please their friends. So how do we set up our social circles so that when we do want to go out and spend time with our friends, but when they're drinking or they're going out and having a few drinks, maybe we don't want to, but how do we have a conversation with our friends in a way that doesn't turn them off or make them feel like you're better than them or you're too good to drink or something like that, but also so they can relate and understand and not continue to pressure you every time and say, just have one sip, just try this. Well, what's the conversation we could have with our friends?
Well, for me, when I was doing my 60 days and what we recommended people in the book is to just say, what I'm doing right now, I'm just doing a little 30-day experiment in my life to see how it works. And what I'm finding is, I'm waking up earlier, I'm feeling better, whatever. I'm just going to keep doing that for a while. And it's not about, I'm not one of the guys. You're still one of the guys. You were still one of the football players.
Yeah,
you
of course.
Did well what you ever did, probably did better. And if you were to look back and say, take all those guys on a football team and see where they are right now and compare them to your success, I would bet most of them are not anywhere near New York Times bestseller, top 100 podcast, whatever. So Donald Trump never drank. Tom Cruise never drank.
Really?
We have a statistic. I can't remember all the names right now, but 7 of the top 10 grossing film stars of all time never drank.
Wow.
Yeah, and a couple of them actually did. Well, 2 did drink and quit.
Right.
And the rest, Samuel L. Jackson was a terrible drunk, and then he stopped. And once he stopped, that's when his career took off, and he's made literally hundreds of millions of dollars. He's an amazing actor.
Sure.
Plus his little credit card commercials.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of research on the people that don't drink tend to do a little better. But I would say the conversation for me would be, I get it. You think I should be drinking right now. I'm not going to. Thank you very much. I'm really happy the way I am. And, just stop. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And just let people know. And what happens is people are going to press you, like a teenager is going to press you over and over. Can I have the keys to the car? Please, can I have the keys to the car? Come on. And eventually you get, Dad just doesn't lend the keys to the car.
Right.
It becomes a policy. Like, I don't think many people are offering, Donald Trump a drink. They know he doesn't drink and they respect him and they're just going to not do it.
Right.
So, and we actually give some excuses you can give to people on the list on the website too. They're a little more fun and sexy, but just generally it's called "It's Not Against You, It's For Me." That's a really good thing when you tell
it's somebody, not against you, it's for me.
It's not against you, it's for me. You know, when people say, "Can you do this?" You say, "No." And they say, "Well, you don't like me," or whatever. I say, "No, I'm not saying it's not against you. I'm making a decision for me right now.
I like that.
I'm just experimenting with this. I'll let you know how it turns out."
I like that. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Huh. What do you think? What do you think is one of the biggest challenges for people getting started with this process of actually saying, okay, I don't want to drink anymore. Maybe for years they've known it doesn't feel good, but they're afraid.
Fear is the big issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the thing they're afraid of? They're not going to have that crutch. They're
afraid. Well, first of all, they're afraid they're never going to drink again. So would you
and
tell
that's a
people?
Fear for people?
Yeah. If you tell people you got to go to AA and AA says you never drink again, that's why a lot of people don't go. I mean, they don't go for other reasons. Public shame. They don't go for it's too religious for some people, whatever. But the big fear is I'll never drink again. And if I never drink again, I won't have fun again. It's like life's going to become dull and boring. And I can tell you from my experiment, from my kids' lives, and from Dave, my co-author, you know, Dave coaches basketball for his daughters. He runs marathons. He is a speaker. He dances. He's a big football fan with the Denver team, which just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, it takes his kids to the park every day. I mean, he's having a lot of fun. And he thought it would be boring, because he had social anxiety as a teenager, and then when he went to college and he drank, all of a sudden he didn't have the social anxiety. He started having more fun. But it wasn't the fact that he wasn't drinking. In other words, nobody's not having fun because they have a deprivation of alcohol in their system. You know,
right?
It's like, you know, you don't have depression because you have a lithium deficiency.
Sure.
You have depression because you're depressing, pushing down on feelings you don't want to feel. So one of the things that does come up for people, and it's a valid fear, is that feelings are going to emerge and perhaps past memories are going to emerge. But if you know what to do with them when they do, which most people don't because we're a psychologically ignorant culture, we didn't learn this stuff in school, then it's scary.
Yes.
What do I do with these feelings? I feel like they overwhelm me. I can't, you know, whatever. My wife's father committed suicide when she was 8. And one night, 4 years into our marriage, she just woke up screaming, "Daddy, don't do it." All of a sudden, all this pain. If I'd loved my father more, he wouldn't have killed himself.
Wow.
You know, if I'd have been a better daughter. And so did she want to feel those feelings? Absolutely not. But because I knew what to do with them, because there's ways to learn to express them through, we have a thing called the total truth process, where you go through anger, hurt, fear, remorse, and regret, unfulfilled I wants, and then what I do want, and then forgiveness. And if you know that model, you can get to forgiveness and love and release it. With tapping, you can release guilt, you can release shame, you can release fear, and you can release pain, as Nick Ortner's new book, your reference talks about. So if you have the tools, you know you can heal it. If you go into the jungle without a gun, you're going into Africa without a gun, you're a little concerned.
Yeah.
You're going to get eaten by a lion or hit by a hippo. But if you've got a guide and a gun, now you know you have the tools to survive in the jungle.
Yes.
Most people go into that jungle called sobriety without the tools they need. And most people can't afford the $30,000 a month to go to rehab. Most people don't want to take that time off work, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. You can't afford it. We had one guy, he's one of the top sales trainers in America in the real estate world. And I won't mention his name because it's confidential, but he read the book. When we did it in a beta test, and he had not been sober more than 12 days his entire adult life. Every night, drank until he passed out. Totally ashamed. Didn't want anyone to know. When we sent him the book, he went and got a post office box so it wouldn't come to his home or his office.
Sure.
He wanted 2 hours of coaching, so we did that. He wrote a check on a cashier's check so no one would ever know where it went.
Wow.
And that's how ashamed he was. Wow. That's why he could never get help, because he could never go to AA, he could never go to rehab. I don't even think his wife...
He didn't want other people to know.
Didn't want other people to know. And he's now been sober for 4 months, and he's lost weight. He's happier. He feels better when he's running his seminars. More people are coming and enrolling because he's more wonderful up on stage. He's having more fun, greater sense of humor.
Sure.
I mean, it's changed his whole life.
Amazing. And why do people love the AA approach or the rehab approach, and why do they not love it? And is there a support group that people will get when they go through this book? Do you guys have something like that?
I have nothing against AA. AA was very helpful to my two sons for getting sober. AA, there are people there who care about you. They've been through it. They understand it.
They give you mentorship.
They become a sponsor for you. Both of my sons have now become sponsors for other people. There is a camaraderie. Going through anything alone is really difficult. Any behavioral change. If you just decide to go run every morning,
it's tough.
It's so much easier if you know Bob's waiting downstairs at 6:30 outside your apartment. Then you've got the accountability. This guy's going to, where are you, Louis? And it's easier. You're talking to him. If, time goes faster, etc. So basically, AA has a lot of value, but a lot of people just won't go. And the other thing we talk about with AA is you have to admit over and over. You have to say in the beginning, you have to get out of denial. I'm an alcoholic. But if you keep affirming that for
even
30
years later, 30 years later.
Yeah, not great. And the challenge with AA, and this was a friend of mine named Tommy Rosen who puts on Recovery 2.0, which is a teleseminar for recovery people. And he said when he got his 20-year chip, his sponsor hugged him and said, "You're 1 in 10,000." And he said, only 1 in 10,000 people who join AA make it to 20 years sober.
Wow.
And he said, that's when I knew something was wrong. Something was missing. And when I would go to AA meetings with my kids, I would always want to jump up and say, God, let me run an exercise here for you.
Wow.
If we could all do this meditation, if I could teach you how to breathe and relax, if we could do this thing where you forgive your parents, you could quit having this story about how you've been abused your whole life. Yeah, you were, but you need to let it go because this anger is killing you, And so they feel that anger and then they don't know what to do with it and they go out and drink again. They relapse and they relapse and they relapse. And then people feel ashamed to go back to AA because they've relapsed. Because they're supposed to be abstinent 100%. So that's a challenge. And we know that 29 million people they say they're in recovery based on a survey that said, did you ever have a problem with drugs and alcohol? And is it gone now? Yes. We only have 1.3 million people that belong to AA. So we know people are getting sober without AA. The problem with rehab is that you've got first of all, AA, somewhere about a 20%, if you can believe the statistics, recovery. Only 20% of people go, keep going.
20% of people go to AA, keep going.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that number is suspect because we don't know how clear it is. But let's give it to them. Rehab, 15 to 30%, and that's also suspect because there's no real long-term longitudinal
Talking about
studies.
recover or 15 to 20%?
Recover, that's what they say.
Rehab.
But we have 80%, 79.5% to be exact, recovery rate after 5 years still sober, from the first coaching program. And now after the book, it's, when we did the beta test, 4 to 5 months still sober. So the reality is that with rehab, you go there, and rehab has some challenges. There are some good rehab centers, like there's good therapists and there's bad therapists. But a lot of rehab centers, especially the ones with places like Malibu and places, they're basically real estate investment opportunities. I'm going to buy this big mansion. It's worth $6 million. In 10 years, it'll be worth $12 million, and you're going to pay my mortgage every month because you're charging me $30,000. I'm charging you $30,000 for the 12 or 15 people there, and the staff, other than your therapist for a week, once a week for a therapist, once a week for a counselor. You have a 12-step meeting every day, maybe a yoga class, maybe you get a massage. Now you got like 13 hours left.
What do you do the rest of the time?
What do you do? And you're sitting around with other people who have these addictive challenges, talking. It's like prison, where the prisoners are like teaching how to be better prisoners, better criminals, and so they're bored. And you've got really lovingly dedicated people who are young, who've been through rehab, who now want to help, but they don't have the skill sets they need.
Right.
So one of the things we're saying with this book, if you're a rehab counselor, get a copy of this book. Start doing this stuff with the people in your rehab center. If you're an addiction counselor, Bridget Lank, who's an addiction counselor, she's a psychotherapist up in San Rafael, is building a whole program around this book. She said, oh my God, this is what we need. This is what people need. They need a systematic approach. And that's the thing. If you don't have a system, you went and you played football. Your coach had a system for exercise, for training, for fitness, nutrition, practice, plays, all that kind of stuff. And if your system worked, you won games and you won championships. And better systems beat bad systems, right? And so this is a system. And as we said earlier, you could apply this to overeating. You could apply this to pretty much any addiction you wanted.
I love it. And I'm curious to know about the difference between cutting back and cutting out cold turkey.
Yes.
there a better approach to say, you know what, I drink every night 2 glasses. Maybe I'll just start with cutting back to 1 glass a night. Or is it better to, you think it's more effective to cut out cold turkey? Which one's the way to go? Whether I'm talking about drinking, smoking, whatever it may be. 2
aspects to that. Number one, if you're drinking a lot, you quit cold turkey, you could have seizures. So you should see a doctor. If you're the kind of guy that's drinking 12 beers a night.
Getting drunk every night.
Every night. There is a possibility of DTs, delirious tremens. So you want to check with your doctor, do a blood test. We tell people that in the first chapter.
Sure.
If you're a casual drinker, a couple of drinks a night, we think you could just stop. And we encourage you to do that. When I do my Breakthrough to Success training, which is a 7-day training, I tell people, you're not going to drink for 7 days. I want you sober here every morning. You're paying way too much money to come in with a hangover. And if you can't show up and do that, you got a drinking problem, So it's better to stop. We tell people in this program, we give you a week to stop. But we don't want you doing this program while you're drinking because you won't get the value out of it. At the end of 30 days, you can assess whether you want to start to try to casually throw another, maybe drink once. And we find 5 to 10% of the people that go through this program can quit. But those were the people in the beta test who were serious alcoholics.
Yeah.
So we haven't tested it yet with people that are just drinking a couple drinks a night and want to cut back. With that, it might be 20 to 30% could cut back. According to the statistics, only 9 out of 10 excessive drinkers can actually cut back. Only 1 can't. So it could be that cutting back is a possibility, but we want you to do the program sober. And then at the end, if you feel like you want to introduce drinking again, try it. But if you do it the first 2 times, you get drunk again, you're not a candidate for that. Stop.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what's the difference between thriving in sobriety and just staying sober?
Let me just say one more thing about because we talked about different addictions. There was a Harvard psychology professor, William James, famous psychologist, who said, when you're trying to change a behavior, it's best if you can go cold turkey, like, you're going to stop smoking, stop drinking, whatever, or you're starting a new habit, make a public declaration. So now everyone around you says, hey, wait, you said you were stopping drinking. You weren't going to eat sugar anymore. You said you were going to exercise, and you're not. You're just sitting here being a lounge lizard, whatever. So, and then have an accountability partner. So on our website, because you mentioned earlier about support, we have a forum. We have over 1,000 people in that forum right now chatting with each other every day, talking about day 9, what comes up for them and how they're dealing with it. And the support is there. Plus, we have a psychologist who goes in every week and responds to questions for people.
Sure.
Dave's wife actually is a psychologist.
Nice.
And I go in and comment and give people support and encouragement and answer questions. And it's really important not to try to do this alone. So we would say if there's someone else you can do it with, great. If you want to do it alone because of the shame factor and you want to hide it, that's great. But if you can find a buddy. And when we're doing a 30-day sobriety solution or the 30-day sobriety challenge for normal folks who are not excessive drinkers, partner up. We have one woman who is the graphic designer for the book and things. And she said, well, I was reading the book, deciding what the graphic design should look like, and I decided I was going to start a book club on this. And so I got 12 women. We're all not drinking. We're up to 25 now.
Wow.
We were going to do it for a month. Now we decided we're going to do it for a whole year.
Wow.
Because I realized wine time was about 5 when the kids were driving me crazy. I'd have my 2 glasses of wine. But then I was kind of not really there for them and my husband for dinner. I didn't really want to cook. So now what I do, I go down in the basement. She's got a little bit. It's a fitness instructor and a yoga teacher. So I go down and I work out for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm spending more time with the kids. I feel better. I'm writing a book. She's doing all this stuff now. And so she's got 25 people all in a support group supporting her without some of the negative overlay of AA where you feel like you have to go in and tell your we call it your drunkalog. People go and tell about their terrible, how they got drunk and lost their job and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's much more a positive kind of approach.
If someone's got an addiction and they know they have it, they've acknowledged it, whether it's drinking, smoking, sex, something, workaholic, whatever it may be, even fitness addiction, there's people that work out all day.
Yeah. We have people addicted to plastic surgery.
Of course. Yeah. There's all sorts of addictions. Yeah. When we realize, okay, there's an addiction that I have that I want to end and I want to move on to something more positive in my life. And I'm sure you probably have this in here, but is there a process you think that everyone should follow in the morning to get them ready for the day and at night to get them ready for a day, specifically focusing in on that addiction? Is there
you want to get up in the morning and you want to visualize going through the day with not doing the addiction. Okay. There's something we call it evening review at the end of the day, where you close your eyes and you say, where could have I been more on purpose or more on focus for this commitment I have? Oh, you did that thing, you did that thing, you did that thing. And so it's just checking in. You want to program your day, schedule your day. What are your activities going to be? The problem is, see, if something shows up at 5 o'clock and I'm bored and I don't have anything to do, I'm in trouble. And there's this thing called decision fatigue. And there's also something called compassion fatigue. They first learned this where they were doing in prisons where they were doing parole boards. In the morning, 70% of the people who were up for parole got paroled. In the afternoon, it was like anywhere between 10 and 30%, depending on the prison. People got tired of making decisions. They just, screw it, I'm not getting out.
Wow.
And so what happens is, as the day goes on, your willpower wanes. Willpower is like a meter. And so in the morning, if you're going to do an exercise, if you're adding exercise into your day, do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Put your shoes and your running shoes. You have to trip over them before you go into the bathroom.
Exactly.
And if you have a partner,
wear your shorts, your workout shorts to bed.
There you go. And then having that accountability partner, someone else you're doing it with, that you can have it. Like, you could be my accountability partner for this. I call you every day, say, okay, here's what I'm going to do today. This is my rule. And at 5 o'clock, I'm going to do this exercise, or I'm going to go do a solution in a book, or I'm going to play my guitar for an hour, whatever it is. And we give people 101 alternative activities that bring joy into your life other than drinking in one of the chapters. So you can pick one every day and do it, or you pick one and stay with the same thing every day. And then, one of my favorite ones is listening to comedy albums. There's so many great comedians now.
Amazing.
Go to iTunes and download a comedy album.
Yeah.
Just laugh. And laughter secretes endorphins in the brain. Endorphins, a natural opiate. You don't need to drink if you're laughing. And so laughter is really important. So laughing is great. And you can do laughter yoga. Have you heard of laughter yoga?
No.
Laughter yoga is really cool. It was developed by a doctor in India. And he gets people and I teach it in my seminars now in the morning as like a little warm-up exercise. And you just start laughing. See how you start to laugh right along with me? And then you do these stupid things like milkshake laughter. You go you pretend you're making a milkshake. You go, And then instead of drinking it, you just throw it on the other person. You go, and they're throwing theirs on you. Stupid stuff.
Right.
But now you got 50, 60 people all laughing together. But I can wake up in the morning and just laugh, or I can listen to a comedy thing in the morning and laugh. The other thing is you want to do a gratitude exercise. One of the things we found, and we were kind of surprised by it, we knew it was important, law of attraction, all that. But one of the top things when we asked people what was the most important in the book, gratitude. People basically, a lot of them drink because they think their life sucks. But when you really start realizing that half the world lives on $2 a day, your life doesn't suck that bad.
Yeah.
And look at all the technology that you have in this office here, and the people that are supporting you, and the fact that someone made this table and someone printed that book, and Steve Jobs gave you the computer you got there, and it works really well, and you can communicate with people in Singapore. And you can just literally go around the room for 5 minutes and just appreciate everything. Gets you blissed out.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing to do in the morning as well.
I love that. And
and meditation and breathing.
Do you have a good breathing? When someone's feeling the overwhelm and they're like, I really want to drink this right now, or I really want to eat this, or whatever it is.
There's a do the cravings, do the tapping. But Andrew Weil, do you know Andrew Weil?
No.
Andrew Weil is one of the greatest integrative medicine doctors with his big white beard, and I've met him a couple of times. Anyway, he teaches this thing. It's called 4-7-8 breathing. And what you do is you start by exhaling and you go, get all the air out. Then through your nose, you inhale to the count 4. And then you hold for the count of 7. And then very slowly through the mouth, exhale for the count of 8. You do 4 of those. I just did one. I already feel
more relaxed.
And a little more energized. That kind of funny feeling in the head.
Sure.
So you do 4 of those, and it calms you out. So again, why do people drink? Well, I'm going to have a difficult meeting, or I had a little stress at work today, or I'm going to go home and my wife's going to be on my case because I forgot to clean the garage, whatever. Just do that breathing sitting in the car before you get out, or before you walk in the meeting, or before the person comes in the door. I needed less sleep. I was getting more done. I started writing more blogs. I was spending more time with my wife. I was exercising more, which is one of the other reasons I lost more weight. And when you drink, what happens is, and this is true with drinking, drugs, and marijuana, that you